Hello, and welcome to episode 18 of The Good, the Dan, the Florida Man. We're so happy to be here with you, your hosts, as always.
It's me, I'm the good. I got a happy little squishmallow that you can't see, but if you're watching, you can. And we've got...
The Dan. The Dan is me. I'm him. And we have...
Ben, who's always disappointed. We are The Good, the Dan, the Florida Man, and we are three stand-up comedians that got shut down when the world had to close for COVID, so we turned to the medium of healing the world through three more white men on a podcast. We hope you have enjoyed. If this is your first time listening, we hope we do enough to keep you listening to the next time. We do story times, fun and games, answer your questions, and ask silly questions ourselves. So with that being said, let's jump right into today. Since we are stand-up comedians, we still have shows you can come see us at. So Ryan, where can they see you?
I'd recommend following me on Instagram or my website. That's the best place to figure it out. But I think July 8th is my next show, and then also I'm going to be at DC, at the DC Comedy Loft in November. But then again, it's all booked colleges other than that. So if you want to go to college, you can see me. That's why people go to college, I tell myself. Dan, what about you? Do you got any show? Did you figure out where it was?
I did.
Yeah,
I will be at the
finally.
Utah... I have to double check the name. The Utah Arts Alliance Theater on August 6th doing the Soliloquy Showcase. Hey!
Snaps
Other than
for
that, you can check me out.
soliloquies.
Someone messaged me and asked me to be more specific about the open mics I attend. I specifically attend most of the open mics down here in Provo and Orem, but occasionally we'll go up to Wise Guys, and I haven't done the Icebox yet. I probably should.
Wise
but
gentlemen.
Wise Guys in Salt Lake City. So come out to one of those open mics and hopefully I'm there. Ben.
Hi, yeah, you can see me. I got a few shows coming up. July 22nd, I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee at the Zanies. July 23rd, I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia. That show is sold out. August 13th, I'll be in Tallahassee, Florida. That show is also sold out. August 19th, this is a new one. Just booked it in Gainesville, Florida at Vecino's Neighborhood Bar and Grill. August 21st, I'll be in Boca Raton, Florida at the Boca Black Box. August 22nd, I'll be in Wesley Chapel, Florida at the new Side Splitters, which last I checked, the late show is pretty much sold out. I think there's only a couple tickets left for that, so get your tickets for the early show. And then the podcast has a show coming up. The Good, the Dan, the Florida Man is on their first show of a tour that is one show long.
In Minnesota.
And we will be
But you're right.
we will be August 28th in Morris, Minnesota at the University of Minnesota Morris, which is a free show and open to the community. So if you have that day or that evening off, come and check us out at the University of Minnesota Morris. It's only like 2.5 hours away from Minneapolis, so it's fine. We're fine. It's fine. Just come see it. Oh, man. I know. So, I mean, people don't know this, but we know this. We have recorded 3 episodes in 3 days.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Did anything happen to you guys in the past
Yesterday?
yesterday?
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes? Okay. Yeah. What happened, right?
Ahmed keeps bringing in friends of his that are very cool. And the problem is that, like literally I've met 2 of his friends in the last 3 days, and both of them are doctors. We're the same age. Do you know how,
Okay.
like, don't get me wrong, they're not official, like, doctors yet, but they're in their residency, they're in, like, their first year of residency, and I tell giggles on the internet, and that's just very, I don't know, it's a weird moment.
You can't feel bad about not being a doctor, Ryan. We've talked about your tremor.
Yeah, that's true.
If they came in and they were just like, yo, actually, we're rocket scientists, then maybe you could be like, ugh. But even then, like, I did rocket science. It's not that hard.
I beg to differ. As a communications major, I beg to differ. I guarantee I wouldn't be able to get those concepts.
I don't know. It was just one of those moments where I was like, man, this is different. This is Also, and they came in, I bought a pillowcase, a blanket, and a shower curtain with my face on it because I'm going to go put it in John's place. And when he's not home, because I think that's funny. And the thing is that
I just like that you had to preface that you're like, because I think it's funny.
Because I do think it's funny. Well, because I can't. But here's the thing: I had him laid out on my bed to take like some early video of it to show people what I'm doing, and one of Ahmed's friends just walks in. His name's Isak, and I had to be like, Isak, I promise I'm not a raving narcissist. I'm just messing with a friend.
And he's like, actually, I learned about this in school. Yes, you are.
Yeah. So that's what I want to.
That's awesome. I actually went, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but there is a kind of like a pub bar place called Prohibition up here in
We have one in St.
Salt Lake.
Augustine, too.
Yeah, they're all over TikTok basically.
Yeah.
But went to Prohibition for the first time, and it was absolutely fantastic. Got very, very on the verge of drunk. I drank all the gay drinks. I had a hibiscus something drink. I had a purple martini with a lemon thing in it.
You were just, going all out.
Yeah, last night, well, I was out with one of my gay friends, and then one of my, actually, the person I do my Why Though show with, Miss Allison, and we went out and decided to party it up a little bit on a Tuesday night. As you do. So that was my day. Ben, what have you been up to in the past couple days?
Nothing. These have been my work days. I'll be done with work like tomorrow night, and then the weekend I'll be doing stuff maybe, but so you saw on the last episode, my little cousin got a hoverboard.
Yes.
Yeah, and I got to ride it. And I've never ridden one of those before.
How'd that go?
Yeah, how did that go?
It's bizarre. It's wild because like the whole way that it works is that no matter which way you fall, the board is going to catch you. Like that's just the mechanics of it. That's the physics of the board. So the way that you go forward is you basically just have to fall forward and then let the board catch you. It is not natural by any like. Imagine just standing up and then without catching yourself at all, leaning forward like you're just going to fall straight on your face and you don't plan on catching yourself.
I literally hate everything about all the things you said.
I hate that because I would want to catch myself with my feet too.
Right.
Like I can't.
That's what most people do. Well,
Yeah.
that's what I did when I first got on it. I couldn't like go much faster than just like a slow crawl. And then I started like the engineer brain started kicking in. I was like, oh, this board is just catching me because I'm falling. So if I fall, it'll have to catch me faster. That's how I go. So then the Florida kicked on of like, who cares if I fall? And everything just like washed away. And I just started leaning forward like I was Gene Wilder in that one scene from Willy Wonka where he just like falls in his face. And then I just started going like as
You're
fast
just
as
Michael
it could go.
Jacksoning it.
Yeah, basically, that's what it felt like, and just like as if it was a normal thing. And I got back, and my cousin was like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, "You're not gonna be able to do this. You're too young." I tried to get her to trust fall forward, and I would catch her, but she wouldn't do that. Like she kept catching herself. I'm like, if you can't do this to where I catch you and I'm right in front of you, then you're not gonna be able to go very fast on that board. But she started getting it the longer we were on it, but it is not a normal thing by any means.
No.
Sounds like
It's
But they're
scary.
kind of fun.
It's always scary. I've always been bad at equilibrium too, so
yeah. I'm not. I don't
maintaining
that.
it.
What?
I'm always like, isn't that what it is?
That's what it
Balance?
is. But how are you just bad at equilibrium?
No. I support him on this. I have terrible balance. I'm the
Yeah,
worst.
I can't do like skateboards very well. I can't do like hoverboards very
I can
well.
fall
I'm
down
just, like-
hilariously, but that's pretty much it.
yeah, I'm a comedian.
Well,
That's
see,
hard.
for me, my center of gravity
I'll
is like
fall
really
down
high
hilariously
because
for
I'm
you.
more legs than like upper torso. So that's why like
Yeah.
my
I'm more upper torso than I am legs. I'm just like, woo!
I got
Yeah.
nothing for him.
I think my arms are like 2 inches shorter than they're supposed to be, but that's all I got going on. Other than that, I think I'm pretty evenly spaced, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Showing off,
I've
just out here
always
being
had
evenly
this-
spaced.
No, I don't know, man. I've always had this thing in me, like my body doesn't like to fall, which I guess is a normal thing.
That's
but
a human
like,
thing. Yeah.
right, no, but
this weird
Weird how that
thing.
works.
what I'm telling you is like my body will pull some like ninja tricks if I am falling so that I don't actually hit the ground. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I would bike everywhere, and one time, like, a car pulled out in front of me, and, like, I had to basically premium rush, like, slide to the stop. But, like, when I started going again, something broke in my handlebars. So my handlebars went one way, my wheel went the other way. I flipped over the handlebars, rolled, and popped back up like nothing happened. And, like, I had planned on doing it.
So you're a cat.
Kind of, yeah. If I don't think about it, I'll just save myself. Like, when I played football when I was really little, it took a lot to tackle me because my body was just like, no, I'm not going to hit the ground. I'm sorry. Like, I would catch myself, like, inches from the ground and, like, twist some way and just get back up. People would, like, you would have to pick me up, restrain me, and then put me down on the ground to tackle me.
I'm actually very similar in the fact that, like, I'm a wiggler. Like, if things are going bad, like, I will wiggle my way out of it because I'm like, I can't do it. It's very silly to watch.
Your body's like, I don't want to be here anymore.
I start to fall a lot. I finish falling very rarely.
Right? I think we should end that segment on that note. Again, so you're catching us fairly early on in the podcast history. We are changing things up again, but it's fine. You'll still get the same amount of fun and joy from us and laughing and joking. But today's episode is
insane.
Story time from history.
Yeah.
So our main segment is Ryan's Ridiculous History.
Hello.
Woo!
Oh, guys, I'm so excited about this is so crazy. I'm so glad I get to talk about this. So here's the thing. I was doing some research on some other things, and for those of you that don't know, what I used to study Homeland Security, counterterror, things like that. And part of the things that you learn is how to study lone wolves. They were recently classified because they used to not be classified as terrorists. But it made it hard, so federal resources couldn't go towards tracking them. Now they are. Federal resources include lone wolves as, like, serial killers and things like that. Now,
Okay.
doing some
I'm sorry,
research.
just to be sure, a lone wolf is just a guy that does all of the killing by himself.
Not linked to anyone. Timothy McVeigh would be considered it, even though technically he's not really, because Mike Nichols was with him, and there was a third guy.
Oh, yeah.
The
Mike Nichols
Unabomber.
and Timothy McVeigh.
The Unabomber would be a perfect example.
Even though he only killed he only killed like 2
5.
people, didn't he? He
I
killed.
thought it was 5.
I think it's 3 tops. He bombed a lot of people, but his bombs were never good enough to kill anybody.
No, he actually was a pretty terrible bomb maker, to be completely honest.
But he did all of it by himself in a shed he built in Idaho. So
yeah, was it in Idaho? Was it in Montana?
it was. I'm pretty sure it was Idaho.
Yeah, let me pull up Ted Kaczynski. What a crazy guy, that guy. I tell
He
you what.
got
There.
caught because his brother's
Turned him
fiance
on.
recognized his handwriting on live TV, and then his brother was like, "Oh, dang it, that's Ted."
You're right, by the way. Killed. Yeah, so he did live in Montana. He did kill 3. He injured 23.
Isn't it? Ooh.
He was active, though, from
It is-
1978 to 95. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Also,
insane.
the concept, like, we live in a day and age where people used to be able to, like, identify people by handwriting. Now you just have to, like, go off of, like, what kind of emojis they're using. You know, like,
Was this
there
their
are far
tweet?
too many laughing cry faces. This is clearly Daniel. I do not agree with
Could
this.
you imagine they turned in the Unabomber because his brother was like, only Ted uses 5 sideways laughing, crying emojis. Dang it! I always knew it was kind of
Yeah,
him.
was this his tweet? Like,
His
It's
style
crazy.
of language.
Does Ted
Yeah.
use the Oxford comma?
but yeah, it'd be
He's
super
the
easy.
only person that uses AF still in 2021.
No, guys, he's the
Okay,
only person
hold
that
on.
still writes in 2021. Like, I mean, that would be easy. Like,
Yeah.
it's
hey,
Ted. That's it. How do
Whose
you know?
handwriting is this? I mean, who's still writing by hand? And his brother's like, dang it, Ted. I told him to get a computer.
I told you.
Those
Love how
damn
you-
eco-fascists.
Okay, but if we're fair, most like eco-terrorists or just terrorists in general tend to be the ones that are still like using handwriting.
Oh, yeah, because they
Oh,
don't own
absolutely.
computers.
Yeah, it's always like, yeah, they're always weird enough. They're always just weird enough to do something weird like that where they will get caught. And it's like, if you were just like normal people, you might have a chance to get away with what you're doing. But you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guys, my gosh, this is absolutely. So
This,
essentially,
you
I was
look
doing
like you're this is weighing heavily on your heart.
Yes.
It's so
Brian's like-
preposterously crazy. Because I was doing some research and I was reading about another guy, and there were two guys both. Okay, let's put it like this: what do 3 Hannibal butchers, a vampire, a wolf man, a mass shooter, and the Sandman all have in common? They were all serial killers active in Germany in 1919.
Okay, I feel a little.
I want to know. I want to know
I feel
why.
a little shafted that you didn't actually let me guess.
I'm sorry. My bad. I'm so sorry.
I wanted to say what I wanted to say.
What did you have?
I
What
want
did
to
you have
know
for it?
why.
Where's
I
the
want to know
gem?
how. Well, here's my thing. Like, I can understand, like, they're like the wolf man, the vampire, the like cannibal butcher. At what point was a newspaper reporter like, this guy, or like, what did you have to do to be nicknamed the Sandman?
Killed people in their sleep.
Yeah,
Oh.
I feel like that one was pretty easy. Dan.
Or he was Uncle TikTok because he was. Whoa! How crazy is that? His nickname was Uncle TikTok because he was a watchmaker. By the way, we've got 2 watchmakers in this. It's very
Ryan. After everything you've just said, the fact that 2 of them are watchmakers is really that's the surprising.
That's weird. It's weirdly specific.
It was what 1919.
Don't they know? Isn't it like most serial killers have some form of like OCD though, and most watchmakers are OCD.
Actually,
Like,
a lot of these guys.
detailed.
There's probably a commonality between like organized. However, some of these guys, one of these guys specifically, wasn't an organized killer. Most of them were. So there's organized and disorganized, and yeah, these. By the way, 2 of them are named Carl, and one of them references buying meat from a guy named Carl. Let's just start with this.
You're just throwing facts out like we're supposed to be like, oh
Also,
wow,
sorry,
you have
I've done so
solved
much
the
reading.
case.
Let's begin. Let's start
They're
with the
named
butchers.
Carl. They live in Germany, Ryan. Everyone, every third person is named Carl.
Let me guess.
You'll
It's
see.
Carl with a K.
There was one Carl with a K and one with a C. You guys will see the crazy
That's the
connections.
surprising
though.
thing.
The connections are kind of insane though. So there's 7 people all committing crime around the same area at the same time. We're starting out with a guy named Carl Grossman, but it uses that German like B-looking letter. I don't know. Feels like you didn't
Appropriate
have to do
name
it.
though. Appropriate last name.
Yeah, very. So he was active from 1918 to 1921. He was a serial killer. Okay. He was a monster in other ways as well. And he used to apparently...
You can't just let that... The serial killer's not the monster part?
Sexual predator. Like this is let's just put on a huge warning before we go into this. It's gonna be horrific. It's so horrific.
Don't go into too many details.
I'm not gonna. But here's the thing: to better understand why these guys are doing what they're doing, what you need to know is after World War I, Germany is having meat shortages. Germany's like in the Weimar Republic, and so everything is hyperinflating. So crime is very accessible. This guy's the one that we know the least amount about because he killed himself right after he was arrested, and so we don't know a ton about him, but we know that he killed we know he killed 26 people, and he could have done 100 plus. Here's the craziest thing. He was oh gosh, it's so gross.
I want that job. I want to be the guy that guesses how many deaths there could have been. That feels like such a bizarre mathematician job that but what do you do for work? I guess how many people could have died? If everything just went as bad as we all expect it to all the time, I'm that guy. Yeah. That's what I do.
So, just to put in perspective, during World War I and just after, Carl Grossman sold meat on the black market and even had a hot dog stand at a train station near his home.
Coney Island.
Some believe the meat contained were the remains of his victims as he threw their bones or other inedible parts into the river. Here's the crazy thing, though. Pieces of missing women were found in the canal near Andreas Square off the Lidsted Canal, sometimes on a daily basis. This was happening daily, which led some investigators to suspect that Grossman may have murdered up to 100
just
women.
Just because you've never worked a 9 to 5 doesn't mean you gotta make fun of other people. That guy has work ethic.
No.
I don't know if I'm agreeing with that point.
No.
You can. Okay, hold on. I'm not saying
I'll agree in saying.
I'll say consistent.
At least we know he's committed, right? He's
very committed.
Consistency is.
But at the same time,
is through the roof.
Yeah. But with that consistency, how did no one say maybe we should just, like, sit here if he's doing it on a daily basis and wait for him? Like, were they just like, oh, shoot, he did it again. Guess we have to leave.
This is the Mulaney joke of, like, how did they solve crimes back in the day?
Yeah.
Look, here's
really,
a pool of our victims' blood.
Gross.
Ew.
Mop it up.
These people
Mop
keep
it up.
getting killed in the exact same way at the exact same place. Must be a
Every
coincidence.
single day. Oh man, I guess we'll never find out who is doing this.
Also, he got arrested because he killed someone in his apartment, and there was like screams, banging, and followed by silence. And the neighbors called the police, and they burst in, and they found a body on the bed, and they were like, "You're a murderer." And
Well,
so
that's just poor timing and placement. That's just that guy.
He's like,
Yeah.
damn it! I know I shouldn't have left it on the bed.
Yeah, he committed to like, yeah. Oh man, what are the odds? Apparently, if I'm correct, this guy, his neighbors ended up drilling a hole into his room because they kept hearing him bring people back and then not seeing them leave, and they were concerned. And they heard the screaming, and they were like, "Get him!" And so they did, and yeah, he went to prison but killed himself. He hung himself in prison.
Hold on. Okay, I have a few
So
questions.
his neighbors figured him out because they're peeping Tom.
Now, just remember,
Yeah.
we can ask a lot of questions, but this is one of 7.
Are we sure that the neighbors
right.
were not? Were we sure the neighbors weren't murderers either? Because that
No,
just
they
also
absolutely
creepy
were.
behavior.
Because seven that we know of.
Yeah, 7 that we know of.
Could be
that
9.
right?
There's only 7 that got nicknames.
Yeah,
Everyone
there's
else
only-
just
there's
kind of
only 7
like
that we
flew
caught,
under
that
the
is
radar.
So,
true.
like, just the nosiest neighbors ever. Because, one, they're like, oh, wow, he brings a lot of people over. Let's wait and see. Let's watch them leave. Oh,
Yeah, they heard
I didn't
screaming
see
next
them
door,
look-
and they were like, "I guess we have to drill a hole in the wall
Yeah.
to find out if this is appropriate or not."
that's the other thing is they
gee.
drilled a hole, but they heard the screams?
They did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently,
They
they
were
wanted to
watching.
see. Yeah, they were definitely watching. So they didn't drill it in the wall. They drilled it in the door, which is a
Yeah.
weird thing. to do.
And now that we know that the police force is a terrible police force, my question is: you only found 7 of these people, like very clearly.
The police force in Germany at this time was literally. I mean, it's cartoonishly bad.
It was
It's-
literally just Carl.
It was just
It was Carl and Jarl
Carl,
and
did you
Carl with a
find out?
C.
Did you find out the criminal name?
You're gonna
was
see how
Carl
bad they get.
His
Weasley.
name
Especially,
was Carl too.
it's our
He
third
was just
guy.
out there looking for Jimmy's mom.
Oh my gosh. It's our
Oh,
third
no,
guy.
that almost made me drop
It's
my
gonna be the worst.
croissant.
Croissant.
Okay, next Carl. We got another Carl. His name is Carl Denke. He was active from
Denke.
February of 1903 until December of 1924. 21 years of being active as a serial killer and
the
butcher
dating
who sold
market.
meat to people.
my
Now,
gosh.
at the time, again, meat shortages. That's why people are like not asking a lot of questions. He is often
Yeah, no,
he's
that would make me not ask any question. I'd be like, hey, Carl, buddy, Mr. Danky, if you will, this meat you cut me, it has a human finger in it. Are you missing? Not yours.
Mr.
Okay.
Danky, Mr.
You know,
Danky,
yeah,
this
no
thigh
further
looks
questions.
a lot like my dad's thigh.
That's a
What's
crazy
going
thing.
on?
He might
been
have
missing.
served a girl that he murdered to her family.
Keep
Yeah,
it in
Yeah, man.
house.
dude.
F. Carl Danky.
So this guy
That's all
was
I've
born.
got to
He's
say.
got the perfect name. He's born in a place called Munsterberg. Now it's
like the cheese?
Zabis, Poland. Yeah, pretty much. I think so. Anyway,
Zabist, Poland.
he was older at the time when he finally got caught. He got caught when he was 64 years old. He was known as Father or Papa Denke.
What?
Also
64.
known-
This dude went his whole life just being like, I could just chop up people and serve it to other humans.
I just, like, yo, he waited until he was, 40 years old before he started being a cannibal butcher? Which means, like, this guy just had it in him for 40 years and was just waiting for the easiest of
Well-
excuses to do it. The only excuse he had was that there was a meat shortage, and he was like, all right, time to start
Did you
chopping.
forget, like,
He started way before the meat shortage. Like, the meat shortage was after 1918. Before then, he just did it.
Yeah.
Like, he was just going for it. He would take homeless and transients, people that he would lure in, and then he would kill them, and he would essentially, I mean, he was a butcher, so he
Yeah,
would sell their
sure.
meat, because he needed to make money, because he was bad at pretty much every job he took.
Except butchering, apparently.
Yeah.
this meat tastes
Yeah.
like Cambridge Road.
The craziest thing, so the last guy that he tried to kill, he like, because he would sit people down and have them like dictate or like write a letter for him, and then he would bash them on the back of the head, and he took a pickaxe, swung at this guy, but this guy kind of saw it coming, so he dodged, kind of took a glancing blow, and then busted out of the house. And initially the police didn't believe him because they were like, Papa Danky, not that nice guy.
Oh,
But
he's
so they
so
eventually
sweet.
they did eventually trust the guy. They took Papa Danky in, and he killed himself in prison. And the
With an
police
ice
went
pick.
to raid. No, he I think he hung himself as
They
well.
let him keep it in the
Yeah, he
jail.
hung
They're
himself.
like, yeah, you get to keep one personal item. And he was like, I'm going to keep the pick. And they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely,
Whatever
just dig
you want,
yourself out.
Papa.
No worries, Papa. He's
like,
So when he's arrested, he does hang himself almost immediately. And here's the thing: the police later break into his house not because they were like, "Did he do this often?" They broke into his house because they were looking for things to sell for money for the funeral. And so they break into his house, and
Oh my
this is
gosh.
what they found: 16 femurs, of which one pair were remarkably strong, 2 pairs of very thin ones.
Hold
6
on, stop. I need you to pause real quick. Why is that a note that was made?
wow.
One pair of which was incredibly
this
strong.
femur is incredibly strong. What a strong
What is this,
femur this is.
kangaroo?
I have no idea why they did this like this, but
Germans are weird, though, if we can just, like, comment.
and it's gonna get weirder.
Germans in
'cause-
general are weird, so I believe it. I believe that the police were like, we need to test the strength of the femurs.
Yeah. 2 pairs of very thin ones, because of course I guess they snapped her. They were like a wishbone.
They were like, make a wish.
They went, oh my
I
God,
wish we could stop finding serial
these."
killers.
We both went the same direction.
He clearly lost the wishbone war there, though.
6 pairs and 2 left femurs, 15 mid-sized pieces of long bones, which is not, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know what that fully entails.
Just long bones.
Hey, have you guys
nice
seen any
long-
long
Mid-sized
bones?
long
Look at
bones,
these long
though.
bones we
They were
have.
mid-sized long bones. They weren't like long,
They
long
weren't big
bones.
long bones, but they were mid-sized. As well as 4 pairs of elbow bones, 7 heads of radii, 9 lower parts of radii, 8 lower parts of an elbow, a pair of upper shin bones. Gross that they separate them. A pair of lower elbows and radii, of which
Well, the shin
extremities
bone is 2
still
bones.
remained connected. So they had fingers on them. A pair of upper arms and a pair of upper arm heads, so the sockets, or balls, not sockets. A pair of collarbones, 2 shoulder blades, 8 heels and ankle bones, 120 toes and phalanx, 65
Who's
feet.
counting that?
65 feet?
Of?
That's so many feet!
Oh, just feet.
Just feet and metatarsal bones. 65 feet,
At least he had the courtesy to remove the feet.
right?
Thank you.
5
He's just
first
building-
ribs and
He was like-
150 pieces
No.
of ribs.
He's like,
He's
I'm going to
just-
serve meat,
yeah.
but I'm going to be clean about it. He was like,
No, he's
yeah, I'm
just
killing
building
people,
the human centipede. He
pretty
was
much-
35 feet short.
but, wow.
Dude, it's crazy. This not only that, but so Carl Jenke is very frequently referred to as the Forgotten Killer because so many other people were active around him at the time. And again, like Carl Grossman, we don't know a lot about these guys because they killed themselves immediately after they went to prison.
Why
I
are the
just-
police letting them kill themselves?
It was
They
1924
were the
Germany.
Jeffrey Epstein of like the early German
Yeah, right.
century.
It
They're
was-
like,
I don't know.
Carl
man.
Jenkley didn't kill himself.
Yeah, right.
Carl
Well,
Jenkley-
it was 1924 after World War I and also in the Weimar Republic, and they just didn't have food, so they were like, I guess we'll just do this.
Yeah,
Like-
I actually just did a little Google on him myself, and it says that Papa Danky's, was it great grandson is Papa John. Wow, did you guys?
Oh my gosh, man.
Also, can we just comment on the fact that Papa Danky sounds like something like a Gen Z TikToker would name themselves?
Yo, what's
Like,
up,
what's up,
Papa
bro?
Danky?
It's Papa Danky in the house.
He's got a
so
hot new
dank.
album coming out this Friday,
Yeah, oh man, it's gonna
and it's
Tyler, the
just
Creator,
full
on it.
of other people's thoughts.
dude, it's gonna get more wild. Are you guys ready for the third guy?
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess so,
Third
man.
of 7.
Harmon, Fritz Harmon, also known as the Butcher of Hanover or the Vampire of Hanover.
No,
also
he
known
only
as,
gets one nickname.
Yeah, he got 3: Butcher, Vampire, and the Wolfman. Okay, he killed
Those
anywhere
are
from 20.
very distinct things. Get your mythology right, 1919 Germany.
It's a bit much. So by the way, he
I
was
am
active
curious why, though.
from 1918 to 1924. During this time, when he finally was apprehended. Dude, this guy is like the grossest human being to me. So he killed at least 24.
Spare us with a lot of the details, then. Don't get.
Well, okay, but here's the thing: to put in perspective of why they called him the Wolfman or the Vampire.
He's hairy.
Nope.
Nope.
I super
my
wish.
thought, too.
I
He
super
would
wish.
eat his victims and drain their blood with a straw.
He sparkled when the light
No,
hit him.
He used to kill people by biting and ripping out their throats. That's this guy. That's this guy.
Well, that's fine.
He served in the military for a little bit, but ended up getting dizzy
no.
spells and things like that, so they considered him like not fit enough
He's
to still
just-
be there.
Rick from The Walking Dead when someone threatens Carl. Carl!
Coral!
But he ended up he did a lot of things. He ended up like essentially like trying to go into law, he opened up a fishmongery. He was unable to work later. His fiance left him when she was pregnant with their child. It turns out though, Fritz Harman was gay. So like the fact that he was even with
So
his...
he was fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, he pretty much was fine. He later ended up finding a young man. When I say young man, 18, who he like started like this relationship
Well,
with.
I mean, at least he's not a monster.
Yeah, right. He's not a pedophile, but he's actually
He's just
he
a
dated
wolfman
a twink.
vampire.
He dated a twink. There's arguments for that.
yeah. He dated a twig. He also he was arrested for like burglary and things like that. And he started kind of like a Moriarty level like criminal underground. He was caught in 1913, sentenced to 5 years. But during World War I, they needed more labor, so they would break him out. They would essentially like let him go during the time to
that
essentially
feels like the backwards way that prisons work.
yeah, no, they
Hey,
were just
man,
like,
This
Look.
guy is good at killing. Release him into.
We're
they
really
didn't- here's the
busy
thing.
right now, so
they
if you
didn't
could
release
just
him
get
to the
out of
military.
prison.
They didn't put him in the military.
Yeah,
He worked at
that's-
manors and stuff.
Insane.
He
What's
would work
manors
in the
and stuff?
grounds, like manors,
a
like
big house.
mansions.
Oh.
And
Oh.
yeah, and then he would
I
return
was
to
like,
prison each
manners
night.
and
just
stuff
work on-
sounds like an etiquette place where
Yeah, he would just work on his manners.
manners and stuff.
We're gonna let you out of prison, but you have to say please and thank you.
Here's the thing, Dan. Here's where you're gonna get even more right about the whole police in Germany around this time. He then became a police informant. They knew about his crimes.
Yeah.
They knew about all the stuff he did, and he became a police informant where he would set up fake raids. So essentially, he would sell stuff to people and then also get arrested with them, but then be let go because he
Well,
was letting the police know. So he
that's
was a
not-
snitch.
Like, if you know anything about serial killers, that's really not that surprising. Like,
No, it's not.
So many of them either were in law enforcement or were like really close friends
Trying,
with law
yeah.
enforcement.
Most idolize them. Most
Yeah.
haven't, thankfully, been, unless you look at like the Golden State Killer. He was. Wild.
And that's not social commentary, but you can make your own.
Right. No, it's not. They're not related, but you do see like
Oops.
there's an obsession with
ACAB
power.
for life. What?
Right. Oh my God. Calm down, Emily. We don't need your.
It's just wild. It's wild to me that was the case, though. Like, it's weird to me that they would just be like, here you go, let's let you out, even though you've committed horrific crimes. You were known as a vampire and a werewolf.
Wait,
we're gonna
no,
let
they,
you be
they
an
didn't
informant.
catch him
yet.
for that.
Not yet. He was known
They
as a
caught
burglar.
him for like burglary.
He was a burglar and
I
a
missed a
smuggler
step.
at the moment. Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, at the
We're
time
getting
he was stealing
Yes, okay.
people's
So
lives,
he's
not
doing.
killing them.
Okay.
Now here's the thing.
I
Between
definitely
19
missed that step. I was
Right,
like,
right
what?
after World War I, he was in between 1918 and 1924. He's known to have committed at least 24 murders, though he is suspected of murdering at minimum 27.
That's my guy. That's my
all
guy,
of his-
the math guy.
Yeah,
But he
Yeah, but
chose
it
an
could have
odd
been
number. He chose
27.
an odd number.
all of Harriman's victims were males between the ages of 10 and 22. Again, we know how he would.
That's disgusting.
Get
that
him?
makes me feel gross.
Yeah.
He would typically keep like possessions of things like that. He started a relationship with a young man during that time who became like his protege for this. His name was Hans Gram, but Hans knew what was going on, and he would live with him and things like that. Yeah, if you're interested, where the stereotype of like a killer being a Candyman comes from, that's Dean Corll, who's in the U.S. and Texas. He did the same thing. It's weird, and that's a story that we'll have to talk about at some other point during a history thing because it's wild. Here's the thing, though. He ended up getting caught in 1924. He was discovered bearing evidence of knife wounds. Yeah, there was a guy that had like been stabbed and killed, had been committed, and then they went in searching for him. Let's see, 2 more skulls were found upon the banks of the Liane River. He kept dropping bodies in like bodies of water.
Daily.
Not daily. That other guy. I can't believe daily. Like that's.
What if none of them were doing it daily? They were just all using the same river.
Well, that's the case. That's the funny thing is that what made it tough to find these guys is there was so much murder that they literally that they were just like, well, it could have been this guy. It could have been this guy.
God, it just looks like Detroit all over here.
Yeah, it's all over here.
Carl. Carl.
They've all.
Oh, sorry, it's
Carl,
a German.
that kills
It's the
people.
German accent. Oh, it looks like the Americas over here.
There were 2 young policemen that were drafted like to check him out, and they were observing him arguing with a 15-year-old boy named Carl Fromm.
Carl.
They then
How many?
approached.
I said it before, I'll say it again. Every third person in Germany is named Carl.
Carl.
It's actually, especially in this time, you're not wrong. Carl Fromm had turned on the police because the police arrested him because he had been traveling on forged documents, and he was like, that guy I've been staying with for 4 days, and he's been doing horrific things to me. And then so they arrested him.
I'll give in. I forged the documents. My real name is Carl with a C.
Yeah, right. I'm C. Carl, not gay Carl. Harmon was arrested and did confess. He was just absolutely a monster, and they found just bodies and things like that. They found out at one point, I believe that this is the guy. Yeah. Wait, no, not this one.
Hmm?
There was a head hidden.
Are you
in a
mixing
different
up
one.
your 7 German serial killers from the 1920s?
The conviction.
All this does for me is just like verify. I'm always like, how could Germany have started a world war? And now you're telling me all these facts, and I'm just like, oh, they were just murderous people. I'm not trying to like put them all in under one umbrella, but
This
as a
is just a
country
lot
to
of
agree to just a lot of
coincidences.
murder around the whole thing, it's just like, wow, I guess this was like a cultural thing.
To
for
be
them.
fair, Serbia started World War I. Austria-Hungary escalated
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
okay,
but that second one's definitely on them. But like, yeah. So here's the thing. He was caught. He was actually all the guys that are going to die by not hanging themselves are going to be killed by the same executioner. Believe it or not, because it was the. His name was Karl Groppler. This guy was executed on April 15th, tax day, 1925. He was beheaded by guillotine, which is just
By
so
a guy
baffling
named
to me.
Carl.
Anyway, his last
Hold on,
words.
before we move on to the next, before you say this part, I just want to make sure that I'm getting this right. So a guy named Carl killed not Carl, but he was turned into the police by another Carl because he was fighting with a third Carl.
Where is your Carl loyalty?
There's been so
Carl?
many cars. Oh, which is going to make this even better. By the way,
And
he
two of the serial killers so far have been named Carl. So there was Carl, there was not Carl, but not Carl argued with Carl, turned in by a different Carl, and then killed by Carl. Every third person in Germany is named Carl.
You're not wrong. Also, by the way, here's what makes this interesting. So this guy was also, he would sell meat underground, like on the black market. And here's the thing. They think that it might have been, he claimed it was pork, might have been people. He claims that when they asked him, like, where'd you get it from? He would say that he bought it from a man named Carl. Now, just remember, our 2 previous butchers were Carls that sold meat.
And Carl.
Yeah. So this is just, which also makes me laugh. These 3 had to look at each other as competition, as business competition.
You think they were just
selling
like
people?
You think they were just so uptight around each other? Like, yeah, Carl, let me get the number 3. And they're just, oh, I hate Carl.
I hate. If you're gonna take this meat to the black market to sell.
If you're living in Germany at this time and your name isn't Carl, your name is just not Carl.
Dude, it's wild. Anyway, that's
Wait,
Fritz
Wait,
Harder.
what were his
80
final
million
words?
Carls, and
Oh,
then
it's-
one Adolf was born by the way.
Yeah. His final words were insane because
Just
of
that.
course they were. I am guilty, gentlemen, but hard though it may be, I want to die as a man. Immediately prior to placing his head on the block, he said, I repent, but I do not fear death. It's just a scary thing
Yeah,
to
because
say.
you've committed a lot of it.
Yeah, because you've seen it all the time. Like, you don't fear...
Yeah, no wonder you're not afraid of it. You're like, yeah. At a certain point, you had to be like killing someone and being like, ugh, I'm going to get killed for this. Like, they're going to put me to death. If they catch me, I'm really going to have to be put to death.
He
Like,
goes,
you have to be processing that.
I'm not afraid of death. And then Carl, the executioner, goes, that's nice. Click.
Click?
I don't know what sound it makes. I imagine it's a lever, and it probably makes a click, and then a thump, boom.
It's like a light switch. Guillotine.
Good night. Just to let you know that his accomplice was sentenced to 12 years imprisonment for accessory to murder. No, that was Franz.
Franz.
I don't know, Hans. Sorry, Hans Granz.
Hans
Franz.
His name was
Carl.
Hans Granz. Which is so...
Hans Granz?
Hans Granz.
I'm
Hans
Hans Granz.
Anyway,
That's such a
moving
gay
on, we
name.
got a new guy.
Hans Granz. Hi.
We've got another vampire,
Yay.
Peter Curtin. He was active from
Stop.
1913
No.
to 1929.
Stop. You can't
man,
just say his name is Peter Curtin and then expect us to not have anything to say about that.
Absolutely.
Every time he killed somebody, he said, "Curtain call, bang."
That's curtains for you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry. Please go on.
The idea of a murderer having a catchphrase.
Oh my
hate
gosh. I
that.
kind of love that a lot, though. By the way, he was known as the Vampire of Dusseldorf or the Dusseldorf Monster. I've actually been to Dusseldorf.
No.
It's nice now.
This also
Peter
sounds
Curtin
so
of
made up. Like,
Dusseldorf.
Dude, he was
Peter
also known...
Curtin, the Vampire of Dusseldorf. Are you sure
And
this isn't
Zibist.
Shrek 5?
Zibist, Poland, and Dusseldorf, and...
He was known, by the way, so the forensic scientist at the time that, that studied him when he was caught, called him the king of sexual perverts. Because,
By the
I
way,
mean, I don't know
He's
the details,
royalty.
but
I think any German forensic scientist shall forever forth be known as the Franzic scientist.
And you know what's funny? The forensic scientist's name was Carl Berg.
That's not funny. That's just, of course it was.
Stop.
No, it's funny now.
I want to know if these were all family names, and if so, Germany was incestuous and was
Well, they
weird.
all were.
It's good. Yeah, I don't know.
Everyone
But my other
was.
thing is that, like, if his name is Peter Curtin, yeah, he is probably a pervert. Right? I don't
Yeah.
know.
No,
I just feels like that's a perverted
It's a
name.
very- it's a
Like,
very perverted- I
I'm
can see
Peter
it.
Curtin.
Curtain
anything
behind
like
your
that.
curtains.
I mean, even
name
said
is
normally,
Peter
hi, I'm
Curtin?
Peter Curtin, you're like, I'm gonna keep all the kids away from this guy.
No, you're being right. You're
My
right.
actual-
And you're going to be the most right, by the way.
My actual last name was Peter Zimmer, but I spent so many times hiding behind the curtains that people just call me Curtin. So
I'm
it's
the
more of a family
I'm the
nickname.
vampire of Dusseldorf.
I thought you would have spent so many nights thinking how I get along, which I do. And I learned how to get along. Oh, now you're back. From prison again. Anyway, Peter Curtin, born in 1883, died 1931. Again, just 16 years of murder. Just doing his best.
He sold meat.
This guy was born
Yep.
to an abusive family. He was the oldest of 13 children, which is actually very common for serial killers. If I'm right,
Be abused or to
Franz?
have a bunch of kids or siblings.
Franz was a mama's boy. That's actually surprisingly common for serial killers. If you see anybody that's a little too close, very and by the way, so it was Carl it was Fritz Harman that ended up being the watch. He studied watchmaking for a little bit, and we'll get another watchmaker later on. It's not this guy. It's not Peter Curtin.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
He attempted
Peter
to drown one of his
Watchmaker.
playmates. He was the subject of much of his father's physical abuse. Let's see. Here's what's super screwed up. Apparently, very young, he befriended a local dog catcher that just liked to catch dogs and then torture animals. And then he just was like, "That looks cool." And
That's
so,
also
of course,
a very normal step for serial killers to
another
start with
symptom
them.
McDonald's
of-
triad. Yeah. He was also an arsonist, setting fires. That's actually very heavily linked.
Do you
He
think?
uses,
Okay, I think what maybe has actually happened was that people were starting to study these 7 people and were like, wow, these are a lot of common traits between them. Like, they all came from abusive families. They have a lot of siblings. They started with animals. And do you think maybe that's just a trait of all
They
serial
keep
killers? And I was like,
dumping bodies in the same river.
Well, no. They were like, maybe this is just like a common trait for all serial killers. So we can look for anybody that hurts animals, comes from an abusive family, has a lot of siblings, or is named Carl, and then just start from there. And then someone else was like, maybe not the Carl thing. And then the second guy was like, shut up, Carl.
Say. Or maybe they just like emphasized the wrong points, right? Like they were like, are they named Carl? Do they sell meat? We need to check all the butchers in town.
Are they really into watches? Do they have a young male assistant?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, all the gays are serial killers. Put them to death.
Oh my gosh. We've only had 1 out of 3 thus far. And also, this guy's going to be straight. Just to let you know, this guy was a pedophile. He was a monster. He was a sexual sadist. So that is why, like, the only way that he could, he's very much like Andrei Chikatilo in this way, which is later a Ukrainian serial killer. He ended up being like this guy ended up being like the only way that he loved the sound of gushing blood.
Hate that.
It's gonna get worse.
No, don't be the ASMR killer. I don't need that in my life. That sounds like the worst podcast episode of my life.
Shivers.
I'm skipping
Shivers.
that one.
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Skip the gory details.
He killed a lot of people. Let's see how many he ended up. 9 plus murders, but 31
I love
plus
the
attempted.
plus.
Well, because we just never know.
They
attacked
couldn't
This dude was
actually-
doing it for 16 years.
Yeah,
and we
they
think he
couldn't-
only killed 9.
They couldn't get a
Like-
hold of the math
people's-
guy that guesses, so they just put a plus. They're like, it's probably more.
Yeah. Where's the
Somewhere.
math guy? He's very busy right now.
There's
Okay,
a lot
like-
of serial killers, Germany. Calm down.
He's dealing with Carl. He's dealing with Carl.
Which
Which
one?
one? First or
Yes.
second? Yeah. He did like some non-fatal hammer attacks. He would just like, yeah.
Hold on. I like the idea of like it's a surprise hammer. Like this probably isn't how it happened, but like he hiding in a dark alley and just throws a hammer at someone and it hits him and he runs away. They don't even know where it came from. They're just like, what just happened?
Hammer time.
Hammer time.
Cuts in time. Oh, my bad. Hammer time.
We're just giving this dude all the catchphrases.
Well, he's dead now, so
Yeah.
it was curtains for him. By
Ah.
the hand of Carl.
So the police were kind of onto him because they believed that they'd heard people talking about their potential assailants, and Curtin tried to avoid. Yeah, and wait, hold up. Am I reading this right? Because here's the thing. I've gotten to read
don't
through like
know.
most of the stuff, but not all the stuff. Was he married? With his wife's
was.
consent, he found lodgings in Alderstadt district of Dusseldorf and did not return to his home because he was trying to avoid the police. He was married during this time.
That'd be a weird thing to put in there if he wasn't married, I guess. He
Yeah,
got
but
his
it's just-
wife's consent. He wasn't even married. Who was he?
Well, yeah, but can we talk about the fact that this dude was married? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but he sounds like a
But
great
that's always
husband.
in-
He's
that
like,
is
hey,
a-
wife, can I go do this? And she's like, absolutely. But if she had said no, he wouldn't have done it.
yeah, he got his wife's permission after, the murders to go and try to hide in Dusseldorf. Apparently, she ended up sending him some of his stuff to collect a substantial... Oh, whoa. With Curtin's full consent, he urged his wife to collect the substantial reward offered for his capture. August Curtin contacted the police the following day, and this
He's
information provided
a
to the
great
detectives.
husband.
Actually, you know who's just like this? Is a guy named Harold Shipman, who ended up, he's the most prolific serial killer of all time. He was a doctor. He's known as Dr. Death. He was a doctor in England, and he killed himself in prison right before his wife would have lost out on his NHS pension. Killed himself in like 2012,
Yeah.
2013, something like that. Anyway, it's weird the things that you see about these people that are like, that's what they value.
Yeah. But I
Well,
mean,
it's always weird to me. It is interesting to me, like, even looking at this, people like Ted Bundy and stuff like that, like, seeing that they actually do have relationships with women that are similar to their victims. Like, it's
Well-
weird that they choose certain women to be, like, I don't know.
Well, it's the same with
I think
it's the same with Fritz
important-
Harriman. I mean, he had a young man that he took care of while he was out murdering young men. Like,
Yeah.
what?
I think the important thing that you could take from this is just to like the knowledge that people are never 100% monsters.
Yeah.
Valid.
But-
yeah.
The other piece of their life that isn't being a monster doesn't negate the monster.
They're monster. Yeah, well, that's the weird thing. It's like there are still like a lot of people here in Utah that defend Ted Bundy because they're like, no, he was a good guy when we met him.
Yeah.
He's like, he was like a perfectly good, so charming, so wonderful, and it's like weird to see people like come to his aid in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I think that's also because those are the people that like defended him in the first place, and if they don't stick to their story, it's kind of like
right, hypocritical sort of.
now you have all the facts, and you're still
Yeah.
trying not to look like the monster that like helped defend.
We know
another
studies
monster.
show that like the first thing you learn is so hard to unlearn, and if you learned that he was a good guy by being like it's just tough, and that's the weird part. Wow.
So this is the fourth serial killer of Germany in the late teens, early 20s.
Of the 7.
Yeah.
Right.
Specifically, all of them are going to be active in 1919.
Yeah, so he killed 9+, wounded 31+, was a great husband.
Great husband. I did get arrested by his wife's.
Yeah, because the wife turned him in for the money.
Yeah. By the way, he used to
women,
drink
am
the
I right?
victim's blood. Yeah, women. Well, women or girls. He used to drink the victim's blood. This was the only way that he could. Blood was apparently the thing that brought him to like climax. This is the type of dude. It's gonna get.
You can skip this stuff. You don't have to do this.
Well, I mean,
We aren't a true crime
I think we definitely
podcast.
have to put like a trigger warning before this.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
yeah.
I mean, you mean we? You mean me? I have to put a trigger warning now.
I
have to-
said at the beginning. I said very early. I said this is all horrific.
Yeah, but then I
Horrific.
said multiple times, you don't have to give us all of
I
the
like
details.
the weird details. I don't like the. It's just
the
yeah,
gross
it's like,
details.
Well,
The weird
well,
details, like he was a watchmaker and a good husband, not the gross details.
Well, here's what's gonna make it. Here's
But
what's
you
gonna
have to
stick.
know it to understand the extent.
But we don't need
Yeah,
to.
that is the important part.
We are
It's like
three
yeah.
guys that do comedy and we have a podcast. We don't need to understand any of this.
Okay, here's the thing.
Valid. Yeah,
a
you
lot of
got
people
really
do
make
like the detailed stuff, and we do know that like true crime does really well, and also the fact that like here's why I tell you that is for this reason. Before he was going to be executed by guillotine by the same Carl that did the
Carl.
last one, Curtin turned to the psychiatrist and asked this question: "Tell me, after my head is chopped off, will I still be able to hear, at least for a moment, the sound of my own blood gushing from the stump of my neck? That would be the pleasure to end all pleasures." Those were his last words.
And then Carl the executioner went, "I will." Click.
Yeah.
guillotine.
But yeah, I mean, I think that puts it. The reason why I tell you that is because I think that puts into perspective, like, how deranged. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this is a level that you
icky.
don't see frequently. Even most have like certain levels of humanity. But no, not this guy. Anyway,
Weird. They all like weirdly kind of low key crave death. Like all of them in some way are like, I kind of want to die. I don't know.
Well, a lot of
weird.
serial killers like to leave, like
want
pieces,
credit.
like credit. They want credit, but they also want some of them like want to be found, but they want it to be in a way where it's like the only way you can find me is by being as smart as me. So good luck.
it's a game. Just side note, I was wrong. There's not 2 watchmakers. There's 3.
Oh my gosh!
You guys ready for it?
And there were 3 meat sellers, and there were 3
Watchmakers.
watchmakers.
So this
And
next
only
guy's
2
name.
Carls. That's surprising.
We're not done. Oh no. I'm kidding. There really are only 2 Carls.
All right, so number 5.
Number 5. That would be yeah. So we are on number 5 right now. We've got a guy named Frederick Schumann. We don't know a ton about him. He was known as, got a crazy name though, the Terror of Falkhagen Lake. He committed a lot of crimes,
Stop.
whether they be like
We just
sexual
went from
nature
the
or
vampire
murder.
of Dusseldorf to the terror of Falkhagen Lake.
Falkhagen League.
Falkhagen is honestly bringing it down a lot, but Terror, you're the Terror? That's kind of cool.
A Falkhagen.
Falkhagen sounds like an ice cream brand. You're the
Falkhagen
Terror of
Lake.
Haagen-Dazs Lake.
I don't want to think about it that way either.
It's actually a new
Falkhagen-Dazs.
flavor.
Yeah,
of
Falkhagen-Dazs,
Haagen-Dazs.
exactly.
The terror of Falkhagen-Dazs. Yeah.
This guy's
It's
a long
cookie
criminal
dough
record.
without the dough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I do remember reading about this guy. This guy was a monster. He had a long criminal record, suffered from alcoholism. He bought his
bouts
first
of
gun at a
murder.
young age, practiced by shooting at local wildlife during his teenage years. He claimed that his female cousin was playing with the gun and it went off, killed her. It's probably that he shot her. He, after completing his locksmith
One for the
apprentice,
mask guy.
he fought in the First World War and was awarded the Iron Cross for excellent marksmanship. Wonder how he got that. Following the end of the
squirrels.
war, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the joke. It's like, or cousins.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah.
Easier to hit.
He struggled to adjust to civilian life, which obviously, I love about this. This is the level of sense. He struggled to adjust to civilian life. He committed 7 murders, 15 attempted, and 5 arsons. Really, was that struggling to adjust?
Yeah, no, he struggled a little bit.
Yeah, he struggled a little.
So what was his count?
7. He killed 7.
Okay, what was the math guy's count?
Actually, it just says 7 on this one. It just says 7.
They just stopped paying
Are we including his cousin in this count?
I don't think that she actually is considered in this count.
7 plus.
So 7 plus.
Well, and to be fair, this murderer got to kill tons of people during the war, so like I don't know if that like feeds into it a little bit.
That was probably where it became a thing where he just didn't feel bad murdering anymore.
Wait, he killed before the war.
I do have a question for you, Ben, because you'd have more experience in this regard. And I'm not trying to say, like, get out people or do anything, but you went into the army, right? Did you ever have, like, weird vibes from people where they came in for maybe...
Constant.
Kind of, like, those weird kind of reasons of, like, I want to kill people type vibes?
Those people exist. They're few and far between. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're all of the people. And most of them are, if you're going to find, like... the job that has the most amount of people that are there just because they want to shoot stuff, it's gonna be the infantry. Yeah. But like I was support, so everyone I was talking to were like officer candidates, intelligence, truck drivers. So those guys were just like, my mom was in, my dad was in, I was poor, I want to go to school.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I just wanted to see.
They exist.
Just because you'd have more experience.
They're there, man.
Yeah.
He shot, this guy shot his victims, and he shot the last one on August 20th, 1919. And then he was arrested in Berlin, and he stood trial. He was sentenced to death.
How did they find
he was
him?
Executed by axe this time, because he wouldn't always use the guillotine, by Karl Grappler.
Carl was like, let's just change
Karl
it up a
Grappler's
bit.
the real hero of this whole story.
Look,
Carl was like, the guillotine is so 1919. Let's try the axe.
I just love that in every one of these, the only 2 people that have killed themselves have been the Karls, and so every other one has had a Karl. It's just been the other guy. Like,
How did they find this one?
Pardon?
How did they find this guy?
How did they figure out who?
He apparently they don't even talk a bunch about this guy. That's the craziest thing.
That's
his
the
name is
craziest thing.
the Terror of Volkhagen. And we don't have information on how he got.
Apparently,
before.
he was he didn't kill a ton of people compared to his other people at the time.
Sure.
And he didn't do any weird things with like the bodies. He would just shoot people. Apparently, at least that's what it looks like.
Okay.
You know what that also feels a little like is like PTSD, like a little like war.
Well, yeah. I mean, the phrasing "he had trouble adjusting to civilian life" is a very common thing you hear in stories about. People coming back home, because it's an actual class that they have to make you take once you come back from a deployment of like adjusting, like readjusting. It's your transitional period back into civilian life, and it's a very important thing.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Crazy.
We got our next guy. His name is
Number
Johann
6.
Mayer, which sounds like John Mayer.
Stop.
If I'm honest with you,
Johann Mayer.
Stop.
John Mayer was a murderer in Germany.
Yeah. Because you had a bad day. Anyway,
Wait, does he sing that song?
Yeah, Bad Day is John Mayer.
I thought that was Daniel Pewter.
Yeah,
I wanted to be
that's Daniel Pewter.
Can it be
dude.
John
It's
Mayer
Daniel
for this?
Pewter.
It is.
John-
It is Daniel Pewter. Man, I was so pleased, and now I'm
John
dumb.
Mayer sings other songs.
Murder.
Now he
Stay
just
the hell away
See,
from
Johann
me.
Mayer kills people. John Mayer just murders that beat. Thank you for not giving me anything on that one. It didn't deserve it.
Sorry, I was focused.
Both of us were like,
That was awful.
So this guy only was from 1918 to 1919, when his crimes occurred. He was born
what
to a
an
day
amateur.
laborer.
Only a year?
Yeah. What a. And I don't think he was particularly well versed at the time of the First World War. Mayer was incapable of military service, which is weird because he was born in 1886, so he should have been old enough.
It was probably like bunions or bone spurs or something.
It might have been something like that, genuinely, that got him out. But I don't know, because most of the time they were conscripting everybody. Increasingly fell into an unsteady
who can
lifestyle.
check that? Carl.
Carl. You only did, whoa, what?
I don't know, man. Words are hard.
This one's just written really poorly. He was given penalties for assault and theft. Here are his crimes. In 1918 and 1919, he killed 3 women with whom he'd had previous relationships, as well as 2 men with whom he had previously been friends. So it was all people he knew.
Okay, no, that's just 1919 Germany speak for he had 2 boyfriends.
That actually wouldn't shock me for this. Yeah, it doesn't look like we...
The teases. Happy Pride.
Also, for some reason, this guy's nickname was Stump Farm. We have no idea why.
Stop.
It just... I'm not kidding. The well-known Stump Farm. I think that's where because I think he lived on a farm.
That's what pushed him towards murder. Are you kidding me? He was just a guy walking around. Yeah, he was just a guy walking around Germany until everyone was just like, "Hey, that's the what was it? Stump Farm."
Guys, I just wanted to cut my orchard down. It's not a thing you should be bullying me for.
They were like, "Yo, here comes Stump Farm." Oh, look, here comes Stump Farm again. Look at him with his boyfriend. Oh, gay Stump Farm. And he's like, it's okay to be gay. Well, I mean, maybe soon, one day it will be. Stop calling me Stump Farm. I don't even know what that means. I'm going to kill them. I'm going to kill them. No, I'm going to kill them. And his boyfriend was like, no, stop it. Stop it, Stump Farm.
So here's
that's
what
why
happened.
he killed his boyfriend.
He killed people with a carbine. He would describe the crimes as, this is in his quotes, a shot, a scream, all over. That's all he did to describe his crimes, which is crazy. To disguise his crimes, he separated the heads and limbs of his male victims and exchanged them. He mixed up their bodies.
That sounds like weird sex stuff.
Okay, Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're right.
I hate that.
He killed Maria from Bonn on 28 years old, murdered on February 1919. By the way, this guy was like, okay, he was 37 when he died. So I guess he was significantly older than most of these people, though.
And clearly he was sleeping around.
Maria from Mayen. She was 23, murdered between March 18th through 24th, 1918.
So 2 Marias?
2 Marias, count me in. Dear Maria, count me in. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
No, we got it. We heard it. We understood.
Nicholas Schuler from Kallenborn, he murdered that 30-year-old in 1911. So I guess his crimes definitely started back earlier.
Yeah.
Lorenz Ruder from Massberg, 22 years old, murdered on April 26, 1919. Then Katharina Frost from Manic-Sickerberth. I'm pronouncing these horribly.
Yeah,
34-year-old widow with 3 children disappeared May 1919.
Stump Farm was all over, man.
Yeah, he was. I love how it says that he was condemned. He was condemned to death. He was, since he did not confess before the jury, he was sentenced to death on February 7th, 1923.
Imagine being, like, down in hell, like, as a serial killer. You're down in hell with all of your other serial killer, like, demon buddies, and you're just watching, and you're like, come on, cool Stump Farm, and all of your serial killer friends are laughing at, like, the vampire of Dulcelswagen is just like, bro, I was a vampire. You got Stump Farm? He's
like,
suck.
Hello, I'm Peter Curtin.
Also, this guy
bullied in hell now.
He definitely is. This guy was decapitated by guillotine, and it was likely by Karl Graf. It doesn't say so, but he was the official executioner of Germany at the time.
Karl was going through a phase where he's like, I actually want to be known
Karl Graf
as
did it correct.
Jan.
Karl Graf was like, I'm gonna make this my job instead of just doing it on the side.
See,
right?
someone
He was a murderer.
Me.
Karl was a murderer in the right way. He was like, well, at least I can kill these guys. Like, my name is Karl. I live in Germany.
There's so many of us. Why? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to add to the list. Drops the guillotine.
Dude, this is crazy to me, this next one. So the last guy is known as the Sandman. He was a German serial killer who, of course, was into watches. This is the watchmaker. He was also known as Uncle TikTok, which is funny because I do think that TikTok may be the death of me eventually.
Directly related to Uncle Cracker, maybe?
In a perfect world, his name was Adolf Gustav Seidfeld, proving that he was the worst Adolf for a while, and then he got outdone. But he crazy thing though, he was executed. So his crime spanned from 1908 to 1935, meaning that he was executed in 1935 when the Nazis had power. So he was executed by the next most evil Adolf, which I think is just
imagine
wild.
Being like so awful that the Nazis kill you justifiably.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Crazy.
So this guy, early life, he was born and last child of his parents. He was trained as a locksmith and a watchmaker. He married a woman named Katerina Seidfeld, who divorced him in 1910. Surprising it took that long. They got married, so they were married for 20 years. At the age of 19, his son was sent to a lunatic asylum for moral crimes. I don't know what exactly.
Son.
He had a son. Oh yeah, he had a family. Like he had a full.
No. His son was the one that was sent to the loony bin.
Right.
Yeah.
And he gets there, it's like, it's my dad. Go look.
Go check it out.
Moral crimes.
He would normally commit murders in pine preservations, with one exception. I'm not sure exactly
The one that got him caught.
So here's what's crazy: how he targeted young boys. He targeted them by what they were wearing. Quite literally, if they were wearing sailor suits. I don't know why that was his thing, but like, all of the children looked like they were sleeping peacefully when they were found.
Now, but I absolutely want to psychological deep dive on that very specific thing about this German serial killer.
Yeah.
It's weird.
He
hated
kill them.
Popeye.
Popeye the
hated
Sailor
Popeye.
Man. Murder.
Or it may be one of those.
the spinach.
It may be one of those things where he thought that's when young boys were the most perfect, was when they were pretending to be sailors, and so that's why the bodies looked preserved
When
like
they had a
were
career
sleeping.
path. Look at him go.
Specifically sailors. Maybe he had just like a thing
Also-
for the Navy, and so he was like, yeah, this is exactly how like a young boy should be.
I was gonna
sailor.
say how old is young. I want to
Yeah.
know how old these people, like what is defined as young.
Children.
Like 18?
Ryan, we want to know specifics. Ryan, we don't want to know specifics.
No,
I
but
don't know how to
we don't
please
want-
you.
We don't want the gross specifics, Ryan.
I just want to know the ages of the victim.
4.
Sounds terrible, but
4?
4 to 12.
12.
4 to
Ryan, we
12.
said we don't want to know specifics.
No, see, that's not. I can't win with you people. He would use his like a chloroform, like homemade poison type that he would essentially put over their mouths to knock them out. And some they believe died of hypothermia because he would just leave them in the woods. Some probably died from the poison itself.
Wow.
Yeah. There was actually bloodshot pressure.
That's
Might have
insane.
implied some sort of strangulation, depending on the case. Apparently, he was. Yeah. So apparently he was arrested. It's not telling me how he was arrested. But apparently at some point, the jury of the championship court found that he was.
He was probably just out in a public square. He was like, "Oh, look at that sailor suit," and then someone was like, "Bro, are you okay? Do you have something?"
He just rages when he sees a sailor suit.
No,
He's
he
like,
just gets really turned on. He's just like, "Oh, that sailor suit's real pretty."
When Germany started
I don't
mobilizing,
wanna-
he had to be
I
like,
don't
"Look
wanna
at the
take that."
mobilization." Let's see. Apparently, he was classified like with war criminals and things like that. Or wait, no. In the presence of later war criminal related against the accused in order to justify eradication of such behavior. Which is funny because he would later be a war criminal. But Friedrich Heidelbrandt was a Nazi politician, and he was going, "This guy's awful," and that guy would later be a war criminal. Let's see. He was sentenced to death. It's not giving me a lot of details on how he was captured or his cases. He wanted to bring an appeal, but no, they were like, "No, you don't get an appeal for what you've done."
He's just, hey, look, I know you have pretty much of an airtight case, but can I just get like a second opinion on this? And they were like, "Yeah, here's one. We really don't like you."
He's like, guys. I killed people in kids in sailor uniforms.
It's
Clearly,
not
I'm
like
a hero.
the worst.
Let's get a second opinion on that.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you look into it, you will agree they are the worst types of people.
Death.
It's
Come on.
crazy, dude.
How about just like a real long nap?
It's just, yeah. How do you look at your own case in that situation and think, yeah, this is fine? Like, oh, I should definitely try and appeal this.
I think they're being unfair to me in this courtroom right now. And I
feel
demand.
attacked.
I would just like to request that different people that are probably more fair, not Carls in Germany right now. Like, you know what? The whole jury is Carls, and I feel like that's just a little bit It's unfair.
The Carls and the Olgas are coming for me, and I'm not here for it.
Yeah, there's a culture war happening in Germany right now that we just never heard about. It's Carls versus not Carls, and it's just the most discriminatory practices happening ever.
It started when the Carls started murdering people, and they were like, Carls are murderers, and Carls were like...
I mean...
We're not
saying it wasn't completely unjustified.
You don't have to say it. This guy, so it's funny that you mentioned like the appeals being denied. The longest court case, or one of the longest court cases, I think it is the longest court case in California history, is a group of two guys named the Toolbox Killers. It took them 8 years to convict them. They had it on video. It's one of those things where, why are we allowed to appeal that if you have it on video? Like, they had them doing it. I don't know. For me, that's just like, what are you doing here,
Insane.
Chief? Yeah.
Insane.
But this guy, he was not given his appeal. It seems like they were just like done with him, and he was executed by Carl Groppler.
Carl's
Thanks,
like,
Carl.
I've got your appeal right here. I'll appeal your head right off.
I just realized every single one of these guys was killed by a Carl. Two of them themselves, but mostly Carls. So
Carl
really,
kills.
this is the story. This is the story about 7 monsters and one hero named Carl.
Who is the monster of his own story?
I'd like to point out, probably in his own life. I mean, this has got. To be fair, he went putting down the monsters. This is crazy to me because this is like Sweeney Todd if every third person in Germany at this time was Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
every time you were talking about stuff, I was just like, this is, especially the butcher stuff. Like, I was like, this is just Sweeney Todd. I wonder if that was what inspired it, you know?
Yeah.
We could redo. No, I'm pretty sure it was Vlad. It was like a Vlad the Impaler. Maybe
the Impaler,
that inspired Edward, or not Edward,
Sweeney Todd.
Dracula.
But if it was Dracula?
Yeah, Vlad
or no,
the
he
Impaler.
was.
He was Count Vlad.
I'm pretty sure he inspired a few things.
He was Vlad Dracula. Yeah, he was. Dude, his story is insane. And also, it's funny, the impaling, most people think is like, it was done out of like sadism, and some of it was, but most of it was done as a war strategy to keep the Persians out. And we'll talk about that one later, because it's wild.
If the three of us got together to write a play, we could just write it about this and call it Sweeney Carl.
Can we make it a spoof?
The like Demon Carls of Germany.
We know what we're filming in Minnesota. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely. Sweeney Carl.
A musical.
Sweeney Carl. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We got all the Carls, and they're all selling each other meat. Oh, where'd you get this one? Bacon. Huh? Like, just
everyone in the play that's not named Carl is literally just called not Carl.
Yes. Yeah, those are the 7 serial killers that were all active in 1919 in Germany. And I was just doing some research recently. I was like, there's no articles about this, so I hope the podcast audience enjoys. I know we're not normally true crime, but there is definitely some interest there. So I hope that you enjoy this.
It wasn't exactly true crime. It was just history.
Yeah.
Bizarre German history.
Bizarre, yeah. So if you're thinking, man, today I live around a bunch of pretty shady people. Is it 1919 Germany shady? If not, you're good. Like, that's...
Oh, man. Well, if that's the end of it, that takes us out of Ryan's Ridiculous History. And brings us into our next segment. The silly question. Would you rather have
what a tone change.
Yeah, would you rather have 2 half-sized clones or 1 full-sized clone?
My gut reaction is 1 full-size clone so we could do things and like people would believe it's me as long as I could trust him. But my heart tells me I want 2 mini-me's running around.
Weirdly, I was like 2 half-size versions of me would be great because then we'd all just like
they'd be adorable. That's a little family.
I need to know, like I would pick 2 half-sized me's just to know if my voice would get higher. All right, guys, this is what the movies say. Now speak to me.
I'm just picturing a 3-foot me, and I am I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, I would be
weird.
2 3/4 foot.
I think I'd be adorable tinier, because I'd still have the baby face. and I just be like, how you doing? How
I'd
you
be a
doing, little me?
Full-grown man.
You would be an actual child. People would think
I
that
would-
you were an actual child.
I would frustrate.
Yeah, people would definitely believe that you're like
Little
like
me's
your
would live
children.
terrible lives because it would just be me all the time going, look at how cute you are. Like look at you're trying your best. You're 3 feet tall. That's adorable. That's just
That's
like
it. I'm changing my name to Carl.
Get the axe!
yeah, good Carl, bad Carl.
All he does is pet us and tell me how cute I am. I hate it.
But yeah, no, I think we all agreed to half-size clones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I would buy them a trench coat.
Oh, absolutely. And then you get the best of both worlds.
Yep.
Oh, I love it.
All right, well, that brings us to our next segment, Dan's LGBTQ for the straights. A query, if you will.
A query.
Blame me off, Scotty.
So, if you guys have been watching Loki, Loki came. Well, it's been kind
I've
of
seen the
revealed
first episode.
that. Oh, well. Ooh, then I don't know
And
if
I
I
don't
can.
think Ben has
Well,
seen
okay,
anything.
so I know what this
I
question
can do this. This
is.
isn't a major plot point. It's not a major plot point.
Yeah.
It's
Gotcha.
not a major plot point. Loki basically came out as pansexual on the show. And so my LGBTQ for you guys today is what is a superhero that you feel deserves to be a part of the LGBTQ plus community, but it has not been shown in that way throughout the MCU.
See, that's always funny to me that people say that Loki came out as pansexual. It's like, if you know anything about Norse
Yeah.
mythology,
I was about to say.
been there. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So that's
yeah,
what I was.
yeah,
He's
exactly.
So to be
gender
honest,
fluid, transsexual.
Yeah, like he
panse-
changes his entire
he has-
entire appearance.
He's a mom.
yeah, he is a mom.
He's a mom to a lot of kids and a dad to a lot of kids, and also like he was a horse at one point. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yes,
just
yep.
yeah. So when people made
That's
a big
just
deal
Loki.
about that, I
He's
was
not
like,
only transsexual, like he's trans, like species, like
Yeah.
like he can do anything. That's why it's
Loki
always
is
funny. to me.
literally just an enigma of an existence, and like that's just his whole thing. When I saw that he came out as quote unquote pansexual, or came out quote unquote as pansexual, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We've known.
Yes.
I thought that was
Yes.
already. That's why it's funny to me that they say he came out. I read the article, or I saw the headline for the article. I was like, he wasn't before. I thought we all knew he was.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well, it's just that they said it more and that's what I mean, is they said it, they actually said it this
Right.
time, right? Instead of it being like up in the air, ooh, maybe, it was like, no, he's pansexual. And so I think it was just a big deal for that reason, right? Is that it was like, it was blatantly said this time around. So,
which character would be
Is it-
LGBT?
Is it
Oh, yeah,
okay to say Captain Marvel?
yeah, sure.
Or is
I'll
that
give you
just like, yeah, we all kind of assume
I think it's known that that she's a part of the community. I just like, again,
Is
it
she,
hasn't been
though?
blatantly said. It hasn't
Yeah,
been blatantly
that's one of
said.
the
So
things
that's
I'm
what I
like,
mean.
yeah.
Is that's what I mean. Is like, what LGBTQ plus or like what superhero do you want to see or feel needs to be seen as part of the community?
I mean,
So-
honestly, any
yeah.
character that like came out in the comics that just hasn't come out yet. To be completely like, I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot there, and so it's weird that like that's why. I don't know. Feels
I think
strange.
as far as like, I think all speedsters are bisexual.
Yes, yeah.
The
Weirdly,
Flash,
right?
Quicksilver, all of them. They're all bisexual.
Hold on,
I don't.
why?
Have you seen the movies? Have you seen how they act? Like all speedsters are like, just
just
I
have
don't
such
know.
great
They just give
bisexual energy.
bisexual because they're all. None of them are masculine.
That's very true.
Oh, Aaron Taylor Johnson was a pretty good.
No,
he was
but
pretty masculine.
Aaron
but he
Taylor
was-
Johnson was, but the character isn't. Like the Flash
Yes,
is
that's
not
true. It's
a
true.
masculine person. Quicksilver's not a masculine. They're very much just like, hey, I'm here. Ha, goofy, joke. You know, and then
portrayed
there's
now.
friends with
Definitely older
everyone.
comics
Yeah.
there, but yeah.
Well,
But yeah,
older
no, you're
comics,
totally
everyone
right.
was just sad,
Everyone-
mean.
Yeah, everyone was just like very stereotypical. But yeah, no, you're right. For like the speedsters always do have a definitely heavy feminine energy.
Bi-wife energy.
Big bi-wife energy.
Big by wife energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. And like especially
my
like any
final
Norse
answer.
gods and things like that that are coming out that are like
They usually make most of the magicians in some way, shape, or form also.
You
Yes,
think
they
it's a
do.
social commentary?
that they're wizards.
baby.
Yeah, magic.
They're trying to scare the straights. I knew it wasn't magic. They're gonna get me. Ah!
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to think about it. Like, the reason that I asked this is just because I have been curious about, like, what representation. I think that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
Is, like, what does the representation of gay people look like in movies and film? Particularly right now, the biggest of those categories is superhero films. So I think it is kind of like a weird thing to be dealing with. Is like, it's weird that you bring up the speedster point because I never even thought of that. Like, it's kind of wild that like they usually, kind of, in some ways, make them all very similar, right? And they all manage to fit in one category if they're a particular type of superhero.
Which is also mildly annoying that like we don't have like different types of speedsters and things like that.
But if you think about it, like...
Yeah.
But maybe the power itself is inherent of that.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Speedsters specifically, it's not just the fact that they can run fast when they want to. Just everything is fast all the time. So, like, when you tell them something, they can run, like, 18 different responses in their head just in that half a second that real time passes. So they constantly are just like, I have the best response. I have the quirkiest, the funniest response to this question right now. And you're not even halfway through your question. Like, I already know.
Yeah.
And so they just live their life that way. So I think, like, especially when you look at, like, the Flash specific, I know more about him. Well, yeah, even Quicksilver.
Well, he was, like, I think he was, like, officially one of the first, like, big superheroes to be, like, considered part of the LGBT+ community, right?
I don't know.
He was like in the comic books at least.
Well, he had a wife, but
well, it was like it's right, like yes, but there's an iteration. I forget if it's
there's multiple Flashes too.
Yeah,
there's
multiple Flashes. Yeah, that's right. There is.
Time
I need to look
travel
up the
and all
names.
But the thing with them is that the speedsters tend to have like very traumatic like backstories. So if they're gonna live their entire lives as heroes with that drama and at a like hyper slow motion, like compared to the rest of us, they have to do something, and I think it's jokes. So they just turn to jokes to be like that coping mechanism. It's like Quicksilver is an orphan because his dad was Magneto.
Yeah.
And then Barry Allen, like everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Just everyone's dead.
Well, no, you know his mom is dead and his dad's in prison for killing his mom, which he didn't do.
Yeah. But then all of his friends die. Like, everyone that gets close to him just dies. Barry is constantly just like, yeah.
Wild. That's my LGBTQ for the straights.
Nice.
Yay! Woo! Which brings us to my segment.
Ben's
breaking news.
This is where I get to write jokes about headlines that these guys haven't heard, and the goal is to write a joke that's so good that it can just be so bad.
Oh God.
That's not actually the goal. No, the goal is to make you laugh.
That's it?
I tend to write jokes about things that make a lot of people a little uncomfortable. So here we go. Here's a few headlines from this past week. Biden signs bill designating Pulse nightclub as a national memorial. The bill was actually sponsored by former Florida governor and current Florida Senator Rick Scott, who, up until now, I have referred to as Voldemort. Now, though, I'm going to call him Severus because he was still pretty awful the entire time, but right at the end, he told Harry that he loved his mom or something. I don't know. Basically, just like, you sponsored a good bill, but you still bullied a child for 7 years.
Wait, he didn't. Oh, I was. For some reason, I thought you meant Rick Scott. I'm just picturing Rick Scott bullied a child. I was like, what? How did I not hear about that?
He did a lot of education cuts when he was the governor of Florida, so kind of.
Oh.
Crazy.
Next headline: Pacific Northwest bracing for historic, life-threatening heat wave over the weekend. Oregon's state climatologist was quoted as saying, quote, "This weather pattern is unusual," which maybe isn't a word I would have used for a life-threatening heat wave. I don't know. I think seeing the Portland Unipiper wearing a kilt and a Darth Vader mask unicycling down the streets of Portland playing a flaming bagpipe for the first time is unusual. A historic heat wave I might describe as insane, or a bad omen, or Florida. Last one. Bill Cosby released from prison by Pennsylvania Supreme Court on legal technicality. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court held that using Cosby's assertions in his deposition against him, deprived him of his Fifth Amendment rights, saying Cosby had been subject to, quote, an unconstitutional coercive bait and switch. Personally, I think that's fair, since he literally went to prison using bait to switch women.
Knew it was coming.
I hate that.
I was like,
that.
I felt it. I felt a disturbance in the force. And then it was Ben.
It was bad.
I feel like that
was
one
bad.
could have been worded better. I feel like I could have fit coercive in there as well.
Yes.
But you guys knew what I meant.
We knew what you meant.
Really? Yeah, we
You
did.
knew what I was going for. That's all the headlines. Hopefully next week we'll have
Yay!
happier headlines to choose from.
Yes.
Has that ever happened?
Yeah, it's kind
No.
of like a rough week to be
I was like, have you seen the news? It's always negative headlines. So.
Yeah, those weren't the first headlines either. Those were like the third, the ninth, and the one that you just told me about.
Yeah, those were
Yeah.
the not saddest headlines that Ben could find.
Yeah. But that's
Wild.
it. That's Ben's breaking news. Could have been better, but you know, they are what they
We
are.
love it.
I
We love
write,
it.
I write them 5 minutes before we do the podcast. So,
We always watch him sit down and write them.
but that brings us to our last segment of the podcast, which is audience submissions. We will be answering 10 questions submitted to us through the email this past week. If you want to see us answer a question that maybe didn't get answered on the podcast, we do a once a month audience submission only podcast. For June, it is already out. It is on our Patreon. So if you go subscribe to our Patreon, you can go see us answer all the questions we didn't get to on the podcast. But as for this episode, let's kick it off with Dan.
Cool. So, first audience question is from Jay Katz. Hi, I have a really interesting question that I would love to get your opinions on. There is a blue train and a red train on the same track. The red train is going 100 miles per hour. The blue train is 690 miles behind the red train and is going 150 miles per hour. How long until the blue train hits the red train?
I got it.
You got it?
Um,
I already
yeah.
know you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all take this one.
I have the right answer already. I'm just waiting for Ryan to give his.
Why am I wrong? Wait, but you already said I'm
Because
wrong.
you're
That
wrong.
hurt.
Yeah, no, you're wrong. I know
Hurts
you're
my
wrong.
feelings.
You're actually, okay.
Yeah, it's 13.8 hours. Why?
13.8. Okay, great. Yeah. The right answer is never.
Why? Because is it the wrong one? Did I
No.
flip the
They're
train?
690 miles away from each other. There's several train stations in between. They're never going to hit each other.
What? No! What if they do?
Why are you not looking at this logically? Like, they're 690 miles away from each other, Ryan.
Yeah, but like...
Do you know
I
how
don't
many
know if you
train
get that on a
stations?
math exam, though, Ben. I don't know if you get that
I
on
would-
a math exam. The math exam would be like...
I know for a fact Mr. Olam, my high school calculus teacher, would be like, I'll give you at least half points for this because it's smart. You're clever. But yeah, no, they're 690 miles away from each other. That's like a bunch of train stations in between. By the time that the blue train, by the time the blue train even gets to
the blue
that
train's
point,
destination, though? The
Yeah, but,
blue
like,
train's
that's the
destination
thing.
could be like...
by the time the blue train
Thousands.
gets to where the red train is supposed to be, the red train will have diverted onto a different track because they don't just stay on the same track.
Nah.
690, you're telling me 18 and a half hours across 690 miles and they're gonna be on the same track still?
I'm pretty confident.
It seems pretty illogical, Ryan.
No, I'm gonna hold this
Jay
one.
Katz really brought in the one question that was just gonna like...
It's gonna break us.
How dare you question my logic?
Well, Ryan says 18 and a half hours. I say never. I think I'm right, but we're moving on. Megan W. Says, I love the pod. Picked up listening to Ripe and Beth Stelling's special was hilarious, so y'all should really do more guest stuff or suggestions of things like music specials you particularly love. We really appreciate that, actually.
Yeah, love it.
Just
Awesome.
as like fans of those people, I like that you like them too.
Right.
So yeah,
That-
we're going to be doing more stuff. I think we have a oddity coming on this month, right?
Oddity draws. Yeah, we do.
Yeah. In a couple weeks, we'll be interviewing another artist, TikToker, Oddity Draws, who's just phenomenal. So you're gonna love her stuff.
Incredible.
I'm gonna
She's
challenge
the
her to a
best.
sketch off.
Oh!
Ben's gonna write sketch. She's gonna draw sketch. It's gonna be amazing.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Next is me. Hey guys, my name is Kalen Woody. What a great name. And I'm just wondering if you guys were to be Pokemon trainers, what Pokemon would be on your team and why? I love the podcast, and Ben is exactly right when it comes to Texas. Thank you for being awesome.
I got it right.
I'm just sitting there like, I don't fully know what that means, but I think he means the state series.
Yeah, that's what he means.
Yeah, okay. So what are your 6?
We have to pick 6?
Yeah,
you have
that's
to
a
pick
Pokemon
6.
team.
I thought it was just
That's
gonna
the
be.
team.
I was just gonna pick Totodile and be done.
Deoxys,
Okay,
Swampert,
no legendaries.
Dicey. Don't you at least get one. Don't limit me like that.
No legendaries.
Yeah, we can't do legendaries.
I'll let you do pseudo legendaries like Dragonite. But
Dragonite. Okay, then in that case, Metagross, Dragonite, Swampert, Dicey. Let's see what I'm missing. I need a Psychic that's good. Maybe an Alakazam. No, because I already have Psychic with that. So I've got Psychic Steel. I've got Ground Water. I'm missing Fire. I think I'm Charizard to get Flying and Fire.
Sure.
And then might just pick like a heavy defender with like Aggron. That's what I go with. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
I've already got Metagross.
I would pick Totodile and then 5 Zigzagoons.
For pickup?
Yeah.
So that you get all those rare candies for that
Yep.
easy dub? Yeah, nice.
Absolutely. I would just
Big
pick
respect.
up all the stuff off the ground,
I respect that a lot.
and I would never let Totodile evolve.
Okay, you're a bit of a
Level
monster.
100 Totodile just wreaking havoc on the entire land.
He could travel across the land, wreaking
Toto.
all the havoc.
Totodile.
It
That
would
was
be
awful.
wild.
Dan?
Who would I pick?
Bulbasaur.
So Bulbasaur,
Yeah.
obviously, because
That's
you
a
need
good
a
start.
Bulbasaur in the mix. I love Alakazam, to be honest with you.
Alakazam's
Alakazam
pretty
is like one of my favorite. I'm just
glass
going off of
cannon,
my
but
favorite.
good.
I'm just going off of my favorites
Yeah,
and
that's what you
like
should
what have
do.
been my favorites for the longest time. I would go with an Espeon. I know I already have psychics, but I would
cares?
love to be like a psychic trainer. That would be so fun to just like F around and have a whole bunch of psychics.
Oh, yeah.
I think I would also try to go with. To be honest with you, I love Ninetales. I don't
Okay.
know why.
They're pretty.
The more I say
'Cause
stuff, the more I'm
Ninetales
like,
is
yeah, I'm
adorable.
gay. Liz.
I wasn't gonna say it, but like I was there.
I want to mix it up and do like first evolutions. So maybe like, what I really love is Vileplume. Vileplume would definitely be in the mix there.
great.
I love Vileplume so much. She was like everything to me. I always wanted the cards and could never find a Vileplume card. And then my one friend got it, and I was like. When I say I was like begging, she still never gave it to me, so she's an asshole now. I remember who you are, just know that. I think of you often, but the Vileplume girl. And then for my 6th, I'd have to go with Dragonite, just because I love Dragonite. I've always loved like the whole Dratini family, so yeah, Dragonite.
Why didn't
That's mine.
Ice type in that?
You also have the next question, so.
Swampert can learn Ice Punch. I feel confident
Ooh.
with that. Figuring out my team.
Oh,
now
is
that
it me?
we're-
It's me? Oh, yeah, it's me. Okay, sorry.
Getting Dan
Aaron F.
glasses, the
says,
next
"Hail!"
podcast adventure.
Hail! I love your show. Definitely helps my days go by faster and makes me feel less lonely. My question for you is, if you could go back in time and change one thing in your life, would you, and why/why not? Or if you could go into the future and see how one thing turns out for you, what would you want to see?
Okay.
Either or.
I would not go back in time or change anything. I would, however, go into the future. The next time I try a new chicken recipe, I would go into the future to see how it turns out.
Oh, are
And
you
then-
like bad at cooking chicken or something?
Well, so I do a thing called whatsfordinner.net, and it just randomly generates a chicken recipe, not a chicken recipe, but a dinner recipe.
A recipe. Yeah.
And so I just find a random recipe, and then I go out and get the stuff that I need for it, and then I cook it. And a lot of times it's like I need to modify the recipe some way, shape, or form for next time. And a lot of times with chicken, that modification tends to be, either lower temperature for longer or higher temperature for shorter because the chicken will just come out dry.
Yeah.
So I would next time I do a chicken recipe, I just want to go into the future and see how it turned out, and then go back into the past and, fix what needs to be fixed.
Yeah, I love that.
Dan,
if I had to pick, I'd probably, to be honest with you, I would go back in time, and I'll tell you why. I think school was not as necessary as I thought it was, or at least college wasn't.
Yeah.
I'd go back and tell my younger self to stick to what because I always knew. I was like, bro, I don't want to do college. Like, college just doesn't fit me. Right. So I'll tell him to stick with his gut and just be like, hey, follow your dream.
I wish
you'll get to where you need to go.
I would have told you so aggressively.
But to be fair, the way that I became a better stand-up was because of the club on campus at BYU, the stand-up club. So I do have to kind of give credit. So maybe I'd tell younger me to also go to Humor U and go and do the shows there. So
just to make sure, get that.
Just go and meet all the people, make friends with them. They're your homies. So
I don't think that because there's the thing, even bad things about my life, I think that it all led to better stand-up, and so I would not go back and change anything. I also wouldn't go towards the future because I don't want to know. I want to see how it turns out, and I feel like if I went and saw, then I might change it, and I would go back and I would hug my grandpa, and then that would be it. That's it.
Cute.
Yeah.
Aww.
It'd be nice.
I really love that, dude.
Leave it to Ryan to get the most wholesome answer on a question.
Aw, purity.
Purity. Purity rocks.
Actually, Ryan, purity
shirts.
culture is pretty toxic. So if you could not.
Dude, oh my gosh. Yeah, there's nothing ironic about my shirts at all.
Oh man. Okay. Next question is from Alex G. Alex G says, "Hey guys, so I was listening to episode 7 for the 100th time, and you got to the question, quote, could you make a holiday? So based off Ryan's answer, I searched up National Stuffed Animals Day, and it's on July 13th. Have a good day. I just thought I'd mention it. By the way, Ryan, this episode is airing July 10th.
Nice. Well, I better go get myself ready.
You have 3 days, kind of.
I don't think I do. I think I can do better than that.
I feel like I have 13. Just me.
Yeah, right. It just feels that way. From Reed Lemons. First off, great name. Second off, not a question, but with the amount of BS Ben did in the Army National Reserve, I joined the Navy. So Ben, you became the reason. Your shenanigans led to someone else join. I ship out today. Hope y'all are doing well. Reed,
I think.
I hope your safety.
Yeah, you say these things. Those are important.
I hope your safety. Yeah, I hope your well-being. I hope you enjoy. I hope that you feel that you find what you're looking for.
So he meant to say, I think, Army National Guard, ANG, but I was not in that. I was in the Army Reserve, and I think what he meant was that because of all the stuff I put up with the Army, he joined the Navy instead.
Oh, that's
not that I made. Not that I was I inspired him to join. I think he just was like, let me change this.
If only I'd heard our previous podcast where we told him to join the Air Force.
I did email him back and say, smart move, good luck.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Shout out to Reed. Go, dude. This is awesome.
Hope good things. All good things.
Yes.
Dan, you're blue.
Next.
ALR says, I just graduated from college and now I'm moving to California. Do you guys have some advice for moving out/away from your family for the first time? Love listening to you guys every week.
Yeah, just real quick one. Don't do it in California. There's too many people out here, and the people that are out here, statistically, are horrible.
There's all these people called influencers, and they're just insane.
You know, there's a whole other part of California, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know what
There's
part.
another part of California.
Like the rest
I'm just
of
saying,
the state.
be very careful with the people that you trust and the people that make friends. Everyone out here is trying to take advantage of people in some way, some shape, or form. You avoid that.
I would like
to go to a forest in the north and enjoy your time out there.
I would like to say most people in most places will try to take advantage of you somehow. Welcome to capitalist America. If there's money to be made, you're going to be taken advantage of.
It's just a little different. It's way more intense out here.
Focused on.
It's
in
true,
this
though.
question, though.
I will say that California at least at least they know the value of the work that they're charging for, though, right? A little bit. I've been in Utah, and people have offered me like $100 for like promos, and I'm like, bro,
they do that out here all the time. Like,
Because there's just
no,
so
I
many
mean-
people that like will just take the opportunity. So
I mean,
True,
out
yeah.
here,
They're like 1 million followers, $100 should do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're like-
I recently got a couple asks for like $50, $125. I was like, you can go shove. Yeah.
You better not be sending a W-9 with that, because...
Yeah, this is definitely understandable. Here's the reason why I say that. The reason why I specifically mention is I moved out to California. I left my family. I moved out to California right after college, and my very first job I was immediately sexually harassed out of. That's why I am very, like, whenever people say, moved out to California, what should I do? Someone is trying to take advantage of you, and normally in really horrific ways. And that is different in different parts of the country, where it's not always that, where it is very much, it's a very intense meat grinder out here, and it can be scary. Now, thankfully, I'm Midwestern enough that I was like, nah, I don't do those things, but I still got fired. I lost all my representation. Everything went really downhill for a very long time. But you build your own stuff, you build back up, and here we are. But be very careful. Be very careful.
Right.
As far as
I love it.
dealing with moving away from your family and friends for the first time, I would suggest building into your weekly schedule a time that every week, you set aside time to make sure you're staying in touch with family and friends from back home. Whether that's like...
That's actually valid, yeah.
maybe,
That's something I
you know,
didn't do when I first moved
when
here, yeah.
If like Wednesday is
That's
your
valid.
lightest day of work or whatever, or you have like, an hour during the day on certain days, you go, okay, well, this block is blocked off because I'm calling my best friend, or I'm calling mom, or I'm calling whoever, and just talking and FaceTiming. But you make it part of your weekly schedule so that you don't feel like, oh, I'll do it next week. No, that's part of your schedule.
Another thing that I'd also recommend is also just like put yourself in situations where you are going to be able to make new friends.
Big win.
'Cause sitting lonely in your new place of residence without any support system, anyone to share your experiences with, sucks. So I know it's going to be really scary. It always is, but put yourself in a situation where you're going to make friends with people, because that will be your new family in your new area. Right?
Find groups of people that do the same thing that you like to do. Like if you like to play sports, there is absolutely like pickup sports that happen, or they have like intramural adult leagues. A lot of
They
cities
do.
have those are
Dodgeball.
fun. If whatever you like, there is a Facebook group for it.
Yes.
And if you find that
that's very
Facebook
true.
group, you can find the people in your area. Maybe they do a meetup, but like book clubs, sewing clubs, sports clubs, something more specific to your career. Find a group, find a hobby, and then find a group of people that like doing that hobby as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Next question from Jazzy A. I just want to quickly say that you guys are great, and I really enjoy being able to listen to you guys. By the way, Dan, I am an ex-Mormon too, so it's nice to get the Mormon Utah jokes on a personal level. I was named after birth control by a hippie, / thinks he's funny of a father, so my question is there any story / meaning behind your name? Ryan, you giggled. You have one?
Yeah, because I wasn't named Ryan until the first 5 days of my life. I was baby boy Kelly because my parents didn't pick up out a boy's name. So I'm named Ryan just kind of on a whim because they didn't want names that were like, that you could be shortened. And so they went with Ryan, and they didn't realize that they were naming me R. Kelly. And here we are today. So I
They
mean,
don't
like,
like names that could be shortened, so they named me Ryan, not knowing full well that the word rye exists.
yeah, right. And that's what they call me. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't. What I'm trying to say is, my buddy was born on April 22nd. I was born on April 18th, but he's been Casey Jones longer than I've been Ryan Kelly because it took my parents so long to name me. It's ridiculous.
Dan, you have one?
To be honest with you, little backstory, my mom comes from a family of all women, and then my dad is the only boy in his entire family. And so they were very nervous because they had 3 girls. And so when I was born, I was a surprise. They were like, wow, a boy. And so they just kind of shoved all the family names onto me because they were like, this is the one that will continue. And then I came out as gay, and they were like, All of the games got lost. No, well, I still plan on. I don't know. I don't know if I want kids yet, but yeah, I probably will have them eventually. But
just grab a couple off the
it was
street.
just it was very interesting. So they just did that. I'm also named after I can't remember how many greats
An
grandfathers.
ancestor.
But yeah, an ancestor who was the mayor of Nauvoo, which is a prominent city in Missouri, or I can't remember where it is, where the Mormons settled, and yeah.
Missouri. Probably, yeah.
They did Missouri. Well, I can't remember if it was I'll get all the info, but somewhere.
That's pretty neat.
Nauvoo.
I like it.
So I have the same middle name as my dad. So my dad gave me my middle name as his middle name. He gave my older brother, they share a first name, but not a middle name. So my brother's not a junior, but he is. They're both Roger. And then I have my dad's middle name. And my first name comes from just my dad's drunk college best friend. Who I don't want to throw his full name out there, but I do know his name. Yeah.
I bet it's Ben.
Well, I meant like including his last name, but
I know what
Benji.
you
They
mean.
called him Benji. So I was Benjamin from birth. I've met him once. He's still as crazy as my dad said that he always was in college, and it kind of fits. So
I love that.
I'm happy with it.
You got a good name. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, we've got another tune in from Absolutely Not. I love this group of humans. Good evening, Dan, Ben, and Ryan. We just finished the podcast from 626 and have a couple messages for you. Ryan, there's a fine line between comfort and debauchery when it comes to pantslessness. Walk it carefully.
I think they
you know what I'm
mean
doing?
wear pants.
No, I'm walking it comfortably. Okay. Anyway,
fan.
Ben, don't take our team's teasing too seriously. You'll be back on top soon, we're sure. Hurtful. Dan, you've been quietly crushing this little competition, in the lead for 3 out of 4 challenges, and we wanted to congratulate you for being so classy about it.
Thanks.
That was amazing. The spin was everything. Now, down to business. We're talking, and since the next challenge might require some extra preparation, we thought we should send it early before the college lecture challenge is completed to allow for the needed time. Ready, set, here we go. Over the last few weeks, we here at Absolutely Not Workshop have noticed a disturbing trend. Ryan can never seem to find his pants. It makes us laugh, but it also inspired our next challenge. Your task this time is to channel your inner supermodel and assemble a look to serve in the GDFM podcast fashion show. The theme is Dressy Evening, and points will be awarded to the best dressed, coiffed, and accessorized podcaster. Bonus points if you somehow incorporate a comfortable pair of pants. They do exist, Ryan. You lie. Sounds like I'm doing a dress. Anyway, just so I can avoid pants. We're looking forward to seeing it Ben in something a little bit more formal than the Brainard Bunch hoodie. And while Ryan has experience on his side, Dan is, as usual, the odds-on favorite to win. Let's see that style, gentlemen. I love them so much. I'd honestly, if we just got 3 watchers for the rest of the time and it's just them,
Yep.
I'm very comfortable with that.
That's fine. I'm going to let you guys know right now. I will destroy this competition. So don't worry. You don't have to put all that time and effort into it. I know who Dan is. I know what Dan has, but Dan does not know what I have.
Valid. Yeah, I don't know the threat.
I also will say this. Hey, don't throw me with a good time. I'll go find the guy that did the outfits that I've worn for modeling before. I'll be in here,
Okay.
full spray, full trident.
Yeah,
Let's do
Ryan,
this,
you
Bobby
can
Love.
come
We
in
got
here
this.
with a model outfit on. I promise what I'm bringing to the table will mop the floor with whatever you bring. I will wipe the flannel
very
off of
nervous
that
now.
face.
I'm
No, don't wipe the flannel.
This is the most aggressive I'm sure you've ever seen someone be about fashion.
no, I'm
Fashion?
gay.
No, are
I've
you
seen people
kidding?
be pretty
I wanna-
aggressive about fashion.
That's fair.
Fashion, gay, and modeling experience. No. We've seen some pretty aggressive people.
It's the only way I know. how
It'll
to
just
do
be
business.
entertaining to see you be this aggressive about it, Ben.
Yeah, that's just what shocks
I
us.
like how
have-
they just read you to filth a little. They were like, all we see you is in that hoodie.
I have an outfit that I have been saving for a very particular specific time. And now that this exists, I have the motivation to get it fitted perfectly
Oh.
and
Is
busted out.
it a Florida suit? Why do I think it's a Florida suit?
What
I
is
feel like it's a pink-
Florida suit.
It's got flamingos on it. You know what I mean.
I I guess you'll have to wait and find out, Ryan.
I'm so excited. I'm betting. I'm hoping.
Ooh.
All right, Dan, you have the last question.
We'll do this soon. Okay, I just want to make sure. And I'm gonna do two pronunciations. Either the Buccieri family, Buccieri. That's what I also was gonna say. Buccieri family sent us a question that says, "I always hear you guys say this, and I heard Beth say tagging this to death. So, what is a tag?"
Ooh, good question.
It is just in comedy. A tag is just an extra funny piece.
Yes.
Like you have your punchline, and a tag is anything that you add after the punchline that isn't just like its own standalone punchline, but is still funny and just more or less rides the wave of laughter from the punchline.
Yeah. It takes the audience boosts the audience just even a little bit further. Yeah. Love that.
I'm trying to think of an example. Does anybody have an example off the top of their head?
I do one where I do an Africa joke and Yeah.
As soon as you
ask. So basically, I introduce people to me being from Africa, and then I talk about how skinny people always like when they talk about us or want to introduce us to each other to date, us fatter people. They always like say something along the lines of like, I know they're a little bit bigger, but, and then insert some ridiculous information they think will relate to them. And then I do this whole example of like what people usually say to me about other people, and then I'm like, in their case, it's probably more along the lines of like, I know he's a little bit bigger, but if you pay for the meal, you're technically feeding an African child. And then people laugh and they're like, ha ha ha. And then I say, and that's a tax write-off. And that's where people are like, okay, cool, tag. So that's my best example, I think, from my show.
One. This is just kind of like, this is more or less throwaway tag, but it's kind of like, I do a joke about being a tiny person. I only weigh 125 pounds. And people have noises that they make when they hear that. And I go, okay, calm down. Not the worst, though. I said that once at a show, and there was a woman in the crowd that just yelled out, "Oh, no." And I said, ma'am, I'm small. I'm not in danger. And then the extra tag is, it's not even windy out. I checked. I'm not going anywhere.
I love that. I think I've got my generic white guy bit of like, I'm the most generic looking white guy. I look like if Costco sold people. And then I just say, if I took my shirt off right now, you'd just see Kirkland. Like that's that's the extra tag. Yeah.
Just a little extra little punch.
Little punches.
Yeah, that's it.
That is it. Yeah, that's it. That's
our third podcast of the week, guys. We did it.
We made it.
We filmed our third podcast of the week.
Third podcast in 3 days, ladies and gentlemen. We love you, and that is why we do this. So thanks for being here.
That is it. That is all. Thank you so much for listening to yet another episode of The Good, the Dan, the Florida Man. If you want to find us outside of the podcast, Ryan, where can they find you?
YouthPastorRyan.com.
Dan.
It's got all the links to all my things.
Dan Bam Bam on all social media except for Snapchat, which is Dan
_YOLO
love.
Okay, I have to fix that in post. And you can find all of my stuff at benbrainard.com. It's spelled Brain, A-R-D. If you can't figure that out, try using yours. You can also find all the links for the podcast on our podcast website, GDFMpodcast.com. And you can email us at podcast@GDFMpodcast.com. Yeah, that's it. That's all. Thank you so much. We love you. We'll see you later next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.